and let's directly start because I really want to know. So, what I want to know is how exactly you have started this journey. So, first, I want to know what is Sankhya Project and where exactly it started. How did you join? Who came up with the idea?
It was a combined idea for all of us, but it mainly started because I was doing a bit of sex ed. I wanted to be a sex educator, and the program that I was doing was basically training me to work in classrooms. And it was a great program, but the more time I spent doing that and the more practice I got preparing myself to work with children, I realized that so much of the focus is just on preventing pregnancy and preventing STIs that anything in between that is about actual pleasure and curiosity and teaching children about how to explore that curiosity in a safe way is not really there. That depth and nuance is still not there. And again, because so many stakeholders are involved in different schools or in different organizations that you work with, you constantly have to adjust the program based on what parents may ask you to do or the teachers and principals may ask you to do, which is fair enough because a stranger is coming to your classroom and teaching your child about sex and sex ed. But what that means then is that the material keeps changing school to school and you're not actually focusing on what the children's curiosities are. And that's not something I was comfortable with. I'm a queer person, so a lot of the dialogue I wanted to create around sex was pleasure first, was curiosity first. And I realized that the kind of conversation I wanted to make was not with the children directly, but with the parents and teachers who would then be having those conversations with those minors, and they needed to feel more confident first about whether or not they had the language and the tools to discuss sex with children. So instead of going into classrooms, we came to Instagram first because it seemed like a great platform where there wouldn't be much censorship and we would have direct access to adults, 18 plus, English speaking. And I started writing sex ed material there. And that's when my partners Ashish and Shweta stepped in and they said, hey, this can be so much more than just writing online.
Yeah, I mean, it started with a sex ed page first on Insta where we would talk about a lot of things that are generally not spoken about. Slowly, that led to us giving people space to talk about their experiences. I mean, at that time, we didn't know that it would take off the way it took off, and that we were providing a space for people to talk about their experiences where they had not felt safe to talk about those experiences before. So there were more and more people who wanted to talk about their experiences and write for us and partner with us. And we did a year of that. And after a year is when we realized that it had a lot more potential than this, and we wanted to monetize it, but also we did not want to put any paywall on the content because we want that to be free at any given point in time. And that's when we decided that it would be a good time to provide people tools to explore their sexuality, all the things that we've talked about in the last year. Let's give them tools to explore that without telling them how it is that they should explore it. So even the idea of selling pleasure products on Sangya was just to give them that platform to talk, to explore, to see for themselves what it is that they like. And that's how we started selling. So the selling happened about a year into the page having been started. So
When was this?
so we start the page started 3 years ago, and today actually, as it so happens, is our second birthday.
Oh,
We started selling 2 years ago today. So yeah,
So nice,
happy
huh?
birthday, Sangya. So we started selling 2 years ago today. So in all, it's been 3 years.
So first year you were completely focusing
Only
on the
content.
sex education
Yeah.
Yes,
related
yes.
content.
Yeah.
We
And
weren't
you-
selling in that first year.
Okay, and you were initially focusing on discussing in the schools and children, but then you thought Instagram is like a very great platform, and that's where all this started. So are you still doing the school-based education or in-person
No,
education?
I think what happened with the start on Instagram is that we really wanted to see what adults feel like they don't know about sex or are not sure about sex and pleasure. So it was a learning curve for us as well because we started writing out and saying, okay, what do people actually want to know? And I think the assumption was that, there's a lot of anatomy that we don't learn in school. Maybe adults still want to talk about that. And to some extent, it's true. They still want that refresher on what is happening in the body. But there is so much also happening with mental health subjects that nobody really combines with sex and sexual health unless they've had some very traumatic experience. And then, like a medical professional will say, hey, there's a link here, you know. So once we started that work of working with adults, I think it just became a very comfortable element for us, because we realized that we are learning at the same time. We are growing. We're finding people who think like us or agree with us or are giving us so much perspective on our own personal experiences that it's allowing us also to grow.
True.
It's giving us a chance to step out of our comfort zone and say, oh, this is the pain we experienced when we were younger. So I think in that way now it's become a space where we prefer talking to adults, because we don't want to come to your house and teach your child. We don't think we are that equipped to handle this conversation, but we are equipped to sit with you and build this conversation with you,
Correct.
so that you feel confident when you talk to your children at home.
Correct. So, how's, like, it's been 3 years, right? Like, you started with talking to people, allowing them a platform where they can express themselves. You know, like, I know that there are like some platforms which is like anonymously they will ask questions and people are okay to talk. But in a forum, if you ask them to discuss, hardly few will have any queries.
Correct.
So, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think this is a very open platform that you have started. And how's the journey so far? Like, do you think people are changing in last 3 years? Are they able to talk, or are they open about discussing all these things?
Definitely, the landscape, even in the last 3 years that we've started, has changed so much. I mean, what began as, even when we started, we thought that a lot of it would be taboo, which it still is. But when we started, we thought that we would get a lot of hate for it, that people wouldn't be open for it. But as it so happens, the time has never been more ripe in this country for these conversations, because people are getting tired of having all these conversations being swept under the rug. Everyone wants to talk about it because people are slowly understanding and coming to terms with the fact that this is just an extension of their well-being, and that it needn't be something that just happens in hushed tones behind closed doors, and that these conversations lead to there being an impact on mental health as well. And so even in these 3 years, what started with some form of skepticism, we have people openly sharing our posts, openly talking about it. Even in terms of other forms of media, other magazines, other shows, other companies, just in the last 3 years, so many of them have come up. So many of them are now openly talking about it. There's the conversation generally speaking has increased so much in the last few years. And I think the way the law is also progressing has something to do with it, in the sense that because there is so much importance now that's given to privacy being the fundamental right, people are really owning up to that yes, this is my private life. Yes, I do need to know about this. So in that sense, there has been a tremendous change. And where we thought we would get a lot of hate, it's been quite the opposite. We've actually gotten a lot of love, way more than I had anticipated when we began this. I was really ready for a lot of hate, and somehow 3 years later, that still has not happened, thankfully.
Yeah, I think COVID also had a lot to do with the way people were addressing these aspects of their lives, right? Because whether we want to admit it or not, it escalated to a conversation of life and death for so many of us, and we're sitting alone at home.
Yeah.
You know, either you don't get to see your partner at all because of the lockdowns, and you all are in separate houses or cities or states, and you're second guessing whether the relationship is worth that kind of distance and effort, or you were just stuck at home with your partner day in and day out and wondering, oh God, did I make the right choices? Is this meant to be? So I think that small spark was also enough for people to take a step back and say, oh, is this what my sexual identity will be for the rest of my life? Is this what my health will look like for the rest of my life? Is this how we're defining intimacy and connection? Is this what I actually want from my life? So I think those tiny moments and those tiny questions made people wonder how they operate as a family or as a unit, but also take a step back and wonder how they operate as an individual. So a lot of curiosity started kicking in, and globally there was just a spike in dialogue around sex and pleasure, because everyone was talking about how, you know, just because you can't date anymore or have an active sexual life doesn't mean you don't take care of yourself, masturbate, find solo pleasure, and all of that just kept piling up online. So even if in your own circles nobody was talking about it, you're scrolling online, someone's talking about it. That, I think, led to a lot of momentum to that dialogue of people just taking a step back and saying, I don't want to assume I'm happy in this relationship because everybody else is telling me that this is the normal thing to do. I want to figure out for myself what happiness looks like, what stability and intimacy and connection look like. And then that just that I think that's how so many brands and just generally sex education as well picked up in India.